Before starting City Mall, one thing was obvious that I wanted to be part of a extremely big market. So I would never wanted to be part of be limited by the market size. Unlearning becomes a great part of starting for building for Bharat, because all of us have notions. We've been living in cities or tier 1, tier 2 towns, and we've sort of come from a particular privileged background. But as you are building for Bharat, the consumer behavior is just so different. The once you unlearn is when your learning journey actually starts. So City Mall is a very unique model, and the impact that we see is actually two-pronged. One is on these community partners who are driving their livelihoods, earning extra income through our platform. While on the other side, there are consumers, and for the consumers, we are essentially bringing them affordability. So grocery is the last area that they really want to splurge on, and what we are essentially doing is, for that 5,000 rupees grocery spend that they have, they get the best value for money. So our vision is to empower the ambitions of Bharat, which means build it for the end consumers and community partners. Building for Bharat requires a lot of patience. I feel I'm more patient than what I was before City Mall journey, because you're building it from scratch. You're going to make mistakes. So as a founder, I think the biggest weapon that you can have is to learn fast.
Is actually where penetration of grocery is least, and that is the biggest opportunity. It's a $350 billion market, and the only way where the e-commerce really catapults to the next orbit. But we've been told this by multiple people. You are actually the toughest category in the toughest customer segment is what you're targeting, which is true. But let's look at why is it so tough. First of all, offline is everywhere, and she also spoke about it. It's only present, and let's talk about the Kirana store network, right? There are Kirana store is probably the most penetrated network that you would find. Every 500 meters across the country in India, you would find like a 300 square feet box, 3 to 4 lakh rupees of inventory in it, and about 2 to 3 people manning it. And this is replicated across India. It is that penetrated. It's extremely close to the end consumer. Probably the most convenient channel that the world can find. As a consumer, you simply walk down 100 meters, pick the product, settle the payment by the end of the month, and you're done. It is so convenient, but that convenience comes at the cost of price and choice. Kirana store is also the most is the most expensive channel as far as consumers are concerned. So it's expensive. It doesn't give you a lot of choices, but it is convenient, and it's sort of only present. The other part of the offline ecosystem, which is the modern trade, where essentially what modern trade back in 2005, 2006, what they did is they went to the consumers, went and told them that, hey, we can't be as convenient as your Kirana store, but you know what? Drive down 5 kilometers from wherever you are going to get much superior prices, much better choice than what you would get in a Kirana store, but it's not as convenient. You have to sort of drive down 5 kilometers, but it's still there. And you saw about 12 to 15% of the market, grocery market, sort of shifting towards modern trade from the Kirana store. So you have this offline everywhere. That makes grocery e-commerce difficult. What are the other unique challenges that we see in this segment? It's actually the consumer behavior on one side and logistical challenges on the other. From a behavioral perspective, Anjali spoke that it's extremely price sensitive. As a user, they have very clear trade-offs. I want price before choice before convenience. So it's extremely price sensitive, value sensitive. What makes it even more complicated is that this segment also has very low average ticket sizes. So our consumers, when we go and interview, we say that what is the biggest? How do you look at grocery as a category when you're buying grocery? So सबसे पहले तो first thing that we hear is that hey, who even cares about grocery buying? It's a boring thing. But I want to make sure that I am buying it at the cheapest cost. So these are households. Just think about a household who is earning 30,000 rupees per month, has a couple of kids, is staying in a rented apartment. So out of that 30,000, how do they manage this budget over an entire month? Is the primary problem that they're trying to solve. And the way they do it is that, okay, I will not be able to spend about 1,000 rupees, 1,500 rupees on any given transaction. So your average order values are very low, and they're also price sensitive. That makes complications as far as delivering groceries is concerned on one side. And on the other side, I think all of us know that logistics, as you go deeper into Bharat, becomes very, very complicated. For starters, you don't have addresses. Addresses is a very urban phenomenon. As you go into tier 3, tier 4 and rural, there are no. Sorry. So logistics becomes a challenge. Remote areas, very difficult for a lot of vehicles to actually reach the consumers. Addresses become complicated. The concept of geocoding, lat long, does not exist as you go into these deeper markets. So competition is very high. Consumer behavior is price sensitive. Low average order value. Logistics is a challenge. So how do you make it work? And it's not that we're the first people who are trying grocery for Bharat. Traditional grocery e-commerce has tried and failed multiple times. And if you can characterize two key reasons. One is the lower average order values, price sensitive customer, the supply chain stop work. The cost of supply chain is much higher than what you can make as margins for that ticket size. The second thing is that the customer retention becomes a big challenge because fundamentally, they are used to offline. They're going and buying offline on for decades. So it's really difficult to build trust. So the winning model, what we realized is the lowest cost distribution cost model that solves for trust is going to be the model that is going to win value grocery segment for Bharat. And it's not an insight that has not been replicated elsewhere. You look at any value grocery chain in the offline world, whether it is Walmart, whether it is D-Mart, whether it is Costco, everybody has focused on cost first, which is also the consumer does not want to pay a lot. They're extremely price sensitive. So the only way you can make this business and this model work is by keeping your cost lowest structurally. And that's exactly what City Mall does. We are a community group buying model. And I'll just take a couple of minutes to explain how this entire model works. But right at the center of this model is what we call as our community partners. Now think about our community partners as social and geographical connectors between City Mall and the end consumers residing in Bharat. They can be barbers, tailors, recharge shop owners, housewives, households who are living in these smaller, in these remote-ish areas, and they have disposable time. They have extra time, and they are trying to figure out ways in which how they can, convert their time into extra income. And that is what these guys do. Essentially, they do two things for the platform where they are much more efficient than what a centralized traditional e-commerce can do. One is that they are our last mile delivery partners. So out of their own free time that they get as a household, they end up making deliveries. So think about like a barber in a remote area. He has time. 70-80% of the time he is free. But he also has infrastructure where he has like a shop, probably one or two people in that shop. So he uses that infrastructure and extra time that they have to actually make those last mile deliveries to the end consumers. The second thing that they do is also very unique to City Mall. They have a social influence in the areas that they live in. So they are able to influence, nudge the users, build like a community around them to evangelize the platform. What it helps us in is customer retention and ensuring that consumers are there's a constant trust building activity that is happening in the market. The biggest problem that we see in any e-commerce is actually churn in the first 4 to 5 transactions. It's a well-known fact that a user takes about 4 to 5 transactions to actually get habituated to a platform. And that is where these community partners play a huge role in engaging with the users and ensuring that they are trying out the platform, getting activated on the platform, and they don't get churned or fall off. So that's the role of community partners. And because of this, the two of the biggest costs of any e-commerce, which is the cost of logistics and the cost of marketing, both of them get disrupted and get solved for through these community partners. What City Mall does, the entire thing around sourcing, logistics, delivering to the community partner, the end consumer app technology layer is City Mall's layer. All this, the end consumer is still on City Mall. So as a platform, we don't think about ourselves as a B2B platform that we sell to community partners. We sell to the end consumer. End consumer is on the City Mall app. They buy, they make transactions. City Mall knows who the end consumer is. End consumer knows who City Mall is. But yes, the community partners are actually our conduit to is our go-to-market partners. And the entire flywheel around what we do is built around lowest price. We're able to give the lowest price to the end consumer, and because of that, we get more users, we get scale, and that scale gets benefits on our sourcing side. So we are able to procure better at a lower cost and hence give better price. On the other hand, as we have lower price, we get more transactions, more customers. Again, the entire density of partners and the density of the logistics density becomes higher, and our cost structure goes lower. So the entire model flywheel is built around how do we get the lowest cost, which is possible by giving the best possible price to the consumers living in markets.
Provided by these companies. So how are we different from these, and are we going to outsource this entire logistics services going ahead, because as you are entering into more categories? So if you can throw some light on these.
Sure. So to answer you first, we are a full stack logistics company. The entire logistics, the warehouse that you saw on our video is City Mall's warehouse. So we are a full stack company. We have our last mile, we have our middle mile, we have our warehousing, we have our sourcing partners. So we are a full stack company and not riding on to somebody else, Shadowfax's or somebody else's distribution network. How we are different as compared to Amazon and Flipkart's supply chain is primarily in the way the entire supply chain is designed. Their supply chain is designed for average ticket size of 1500 rupees and more. And that's how all the cost structures, all design choices that they make for the end consumers are driven by the fact that how do I get my average ticket value to be 1500 rupees and more. Our supply chain is designed to work for a 450, 500 rupee ticket size. So as your ticket sizes change from 1500 to 500, the entire design of the supply chain changes from multiple levels. One of them is community partners, but there are also multiple design choices that we make in our warehousing, in how our capacity systems and last mile and middle mile deliveries work. To make that 500 rupee grocery order delivered to the end consumer at the best price, and City Mall makes money in the process, is how our supply chain is.
Right, like when you're building a company, and we all grapple with that, right? You're going through various phases, right? Your startup, then zero to one, and then beyond. How has that been for you guys? Like how do you think your organization culture has changed, and what is the current focus on culture? Like when you hire someone, when you induct someone, when you train someone, what are the kind of messages that you are giving? Because that's very, very important, right? So just want to get a sense of that. Thank you.
No, great question. Actually, when we started, we were like a 3-people company, and often even today, when we discuss the speed at which we were able to do things and churn out, new products, innovative things when we were 3-people company versus when we are 300 people company, is extremely different. But one thing that has remained like a core value of City Mall is our learning and iteration speed. Because markets are changing very fast. Every day we are getting to understand newer things about the end consumers, about our supply chain, where we have earned, where we are doing well. So, as a culturally, City Mall, the core belief is how fast we can learn and unlearn is going to be the driving force. Is how the entire people side. And when you come to City Mall, if you look at the company, everybody's talking about how do we do things faster? Do we need to change? What are the things that we need to change? So being very nimble to be able to move fast and learn things is like the central. We had sort of the journey has been painful because while we were growing very fast, we were also hiring people and we couldn't take that as part of our interviewing process. But we've realized that at the core we are very 0 to 1 guys. We like to do things faster. We like to do things innovatively, learn fast, iterate fast. So that's what we are. Very 0 to 1 is what you would define as City Mall's culture.
Can you go a little more granular on your local distribution? Because you talk about barbers and people who have time, and that's setting up across the country, but even in each locality.
Yeah.
So, foot soldiers, do they come online? How do you actually set it up and make it work?
Sure. So what we do is we decide that we want to, let's say, enter Meerut as a market. We divide Meerut into what we call as geo-hashes. So Meerut would be divided into about 200 geo-hashes or 200 micro markets. And then we go about identifying what's the best way to have our node of community partner in those geo-hashes. Most of the channels happen through referral. So we get the first 10, and from 10 we probably get 5x more just by referrals. But the idea is about identifying and ensuring that you have a distribution node in each of those 200 micro markets that you exist. That is our good market. We also do a lot of things around who we want to work with and who we don't want to work with, because we don't want to we are a consumer platform. We don't want to spoil end consumer experience because we're working with not the right partner. So we have a very strong gradation process. We take 1 lakh rupee upfront for every community partner who wants to work with us. That's like a funneling mechanism. So any partner who wants to work with us, they have to pay us 1 lakh rupee because they're also sort of earning and opening a shop through our platform. So that's what we do.